Good afternoon and welcome to the American University Museum at the Katzen Art Center. I met Leigh Wen in Taipei, Taiwan 5 years ago. She was the star of the Taipei Art Fair, and I've been following her work ever since. She received her BFA from Washington State University and her MFA from the State University of New York at Albany. She received 2 New York Foundation for the Arts Fellowships, a Helena Rubinstein Fellowship, 2 artist grants from the Paul Krasner Foundation. She is shown around the world, and we are so happy to have her here with us in Washington, D.C. today. Now, finding a great artist who's willing to show her work is just the beginning of, the story of doing an international show. It takes a lot of time, it's complicated, it's very expensive. The most important thing, though, is to find a good curator. So we're very fortunate to have in our midst Sarah Tanguy. She's an independent curator and arts writer based in Washington, D.C. Has a BA in Fine Arts from Georgetown University and an MA in Art History from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Interned at the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden. Worked at the National Gallery of Art, the International Exhibitions Foundation, the Tremaine Collection, the International Sculpture Center, Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition Service, the Hechinger Collection, and the Office of Art and Embassies, U.S. Department of State, where you've been you were there for what? 15 years, yeah. So that's really, you've certainly made your mark in Washington and around the world. We are so grateful that you decided to take on this task. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mu Fan Ho. She is with the Ministry of Culture of the Chinese Republic of Taiwan.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And she can say a few words.
Yeah, I won't say too long. Yeah, actually, hi everyone. I'm from Taiwan, belongs to music culture, and I'm also with Jack and Sarah to make this dream come true. So I'm here. I just want to express how excited I am because I arrived DC like almost 2 years ago, and the day I arrived, I know we will do the exhibition here. So the first American people I met here is Jack. So now it's every 3 years. Okay, I lived here for almost 2 years. It finally came true. So Leigh Wen is a very famous Taiwanese artist, and she lives in New York for 40 years. And New York is a very competitive environment, and she survived. And she, I think I know her like for about half a year, but I already know she's very passionate, and her passion about art and medicine. So as a representative of Taiwan government, I'm very honored to present her work here to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your help on the exhibition. I'm going to turn this over to Sarah, I think, who's going to.
Thank you for that incredible introduction. I think that's a little bit hyperbolic.
Understated.
But I did want to say just my last full-time job was at the Office of Art and Embassies at the State Department. And that's how I got to know Leigh Wen. Because Leigh Wen, over the years, has been and continues to be very generous in lending her works to U.S. ambassadors' residences overseas. I'm not sure when you became a dual citizenship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, won't go into the weeds on that, but I already knew about Leigh and her work, and then I was really thrilled to be the primary curator for the permanent collection collection at the new American Institute of Taipei in Taiwan, and that's how I really got to know Leigh's work. And we commissioned her, because I was later joined by a fellow curator, to do 5 flowers, if I remember correctly, for the executive suite of this new building. And that's when I really fell under the spell, if you will, of these works. And I was pulling my head and hair and everything else, trying to figure out what's the entry point to all of these works. And I realized, really spending a lot of time, that it's these lines. And then it's the dynamic that is set up between the lines and the painted passages, most often realized in layers of oil painting. And so that's what I focused on from a technical entry point, if you will. And then in terms of the theme for the show, I wanted to focus on Leigh's long-standing, started from childhood, interest in the 4 elements. And Leigh, of course, has prepared a beautiful presentation that will touch on the different bodies of work you see here. Clearly, these are the flower portraits behind us. We have examples of her scapes, both sea and land and air, and then we have the 4 dresses, as well as the ceramic pieces, and then these mixed media works using actual wine crates, which I know Leigh's going to talk about, to sort of round out I just wanted to give a really good look into her multi-talents at expressing this passion for the elements. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leigh Wen, and I reside in New York right now. And everybody, I have a chance to go to New York in the fall. I went for another show in Chelsea. Just, I'm running the commercial. But first of all, thank you so much for coming here, and special thanks to Jack for inviting me for the exhibition, and Sarah curating the show, and through our sponsorship. Taipei office, Taiwan Academy, Minister of Culture from Taiwan. This has been a very, very serious, long-term planning show. We started from having a show in New York and moved to here. The next show we're going to go, possible, is the museum, National Taiwan Museum of Fine Art in Taiwan. We actually have a show was bumped up by BACC, which is the Art Center in Bangkok, which is because it was cut by the government funding due to the COVID attack. So now we couldn't recover that show. There's no show going on at the BACC. Unless something happened, we are still negotiating. It's very unusual. I have showed in Washington, D.C. because I always stay in the New York area, and my only connection with Washington, D.C. is really the State Department. And I think everybody heard the story. I don't know Jack heard the story. I know Sarah knows the story. My connection with the State Department. First of all, it's artist.
Is it on?
It's on.
Right in front of your mouth like that. That's right.
I'm going to start to yell. My first connection with Washington, D.C. basically is because I got a phone call. And it's called coming from nowhere. I remember, it's 1993 or something. And I got a phone call when I was driving, and they said, oh, this is from State Department. My name is Virginia Shore. I don't know who is Virginia Shore, and I'm sure there's still one more person here knows Virginia Shore. It's election time, it's scary. So I don't believe her, and she says, Mrs. Clinton wants to have a 24-foot painting in the Jordan embassy at a banquet room. I said, oh, Well, anyway, that's the beginning of my collaboration with the State Department. You probably know the story, right? And so then, because my work was kind of funny because I start with water painting first, and then I want to work with all elements. So I start with water. When I was doing water for a year and a half, I don't know how to do fire. So I was trying to search for the next subject while I'm doing the water practicing. I never think of my work as a product at all. I always think it's an ongoing process. So I experiment water, horizontal, vertical, different color, different sign, different area, because I have a whole series of work called Chesapeake water. Because I came to Washington and I visited you guys and I saw the greenish gray color water, so I started to do a whole series of Chesapeake water painting. You probably see some in the slides. And then I moved on to fire painting from the public eye. Everything in my work actually happened in one click. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do it tomorrow. It's not. It's always because something happened. And I think that's my drive, inspiration. And I need to, also timing is right for me to work on different subjects. For example, the fire painting didn't happen until my father was died. My father died. So during the ceremony or ritual Buddha ceremonies, I saw most nothing but the fire. And that's how fire started. Going back to the fire subject, also, there was 7 years I couldn't show my fire painting anywhere, particularly in the States, because my first fire show was in New York, Washington, in Chestertown, also a gallery in Chestertown, also a show in Georgia, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia. I want to show my fire painting first exposure of my fire group work. September 11 hit. The show opened September 7. We opened the show September 7. We have to cover, I think the show called Fire and Water. And so we leave the water painting on the wall. We cover all the fire painting with black cloth because everybody thought they were into gallery to collapse. So that is also happened right after September. And then we have Asia people. They are very different and they think about fire in different ways. Because in the painting, people say, oh, like water is so soothing, but how about Katrina hurricane in Louisiana? How about, the flood going on with the nuclear plant in Japan? Water are very crazy and invasive. Water destroy fire, fire destroy water. So they are related, but in Asian ritual, in the Buddhism and also in your daily life, the thing of fire is energy. It creates warmth, it creates energy to talk to spirits. So every time you go to the candlelights, there are incense sticks in the Buddha's work, and Christian, in the different religions, everybody is fire. It's a way to communicate with the spirit. So anyway, let's get on the slides, and we just the reason I want to have the slides is because I have a lot of work that's not here. This is one of my small shows. Seriously, because the whole body of work. These are small paintings. The biggest painting is 50 feet, and you're going to see on the screen. And we're just kind of browsing through what I have done, which is not here, and nothing really major, serious academic discussion here. So I saved that to Jack and Sarah. So let's flipping through the slides real quick. This is let's go back for the first one. Yeah, here. Okay. Should I use a clicker or you guys comment? May I have it? There is I'm very stubborn because I only use oil paint. And I remember I talked to my assistant, I said, I just couldn't get work done because the oil takes so long to dry. And he says, oh, Leigh, nobody uses oil in this because it's too slow. But I said, I need to use oil. Yeah. Okay. Let's me jump too. All right, I think my assistant changes. This is a painting. It's a printmaking peanut pattern. I don't think Sarah has seen this piece. My career started with printmaking. It's not oil painting. I did my MA in painting, and I finished my MFA in printmaking. And I find myself from printmaking. I didn't achieve anything when I was doing oil painting major in my first master. From the etching, I find out the relief. And I saw my family owned a publishing house, so I know the photography very well. I always go to the print house to help to set up the press and supervise the press. So I have printmaking background from the family. I also, from a time, has courage to create pottery. The whole time is in the pottery business, but those are not native Taiwanese clay. Actually, they are Japanese porcelains, so they are not earthware. They were fired in high fire. So the form inside actually is like our porcelain plates. So from this, I thought about my clay. I thought about my paint. So I developed a whole bunch of etching work. So this is I think there's another background. I was a Chinese brush painter. My undergraduate study actually is Chinese painting. So what with Chinese painting is we just do ink drawing, pretty much with ink brushes. So just negative and positive. So I'm not very good with color at the very beginning. I don't have much experience with color. And this is the print, actually only 6 inch by 6 inch, and was a suite of prints. I won a lot of national award in printmaking, first place in 1 year. And actually this group of prints gave me a NIFA grant, which everybody thinks. I got 2 NIFA grants. One is from this group of prints. The other NIFA grant is from the pottery. I did get a NIFA grant for my painting. I didn't apply. They only can get 2 grants, 3 just not working. So I instead of that, I applied the Paula Personal Foundation grant for my painting in 1997 and 2000. So from 60-inch square painting print, I developed into a 10 feet by 50 feet painting. That's a big jump. There's no study in between. And meanwhile, the next slide is for the serious work. And this is the AIC project Sarah actually was working on. They have a celebration after this in Dearborn, Texas. So it's kind of fun. It's my connection with America. It's interesting. 40 years anniversary relationship between Taiwan and America. This is the oil paint I use. And all the paint I use are custom made. We hardly buy any commercial grade unless we need to touch up something that's easy to carry. So this is all made by the old master from the pigment and the laser oils. Okay, this is a workshop. We have a small workshop. My classmate is actually in the graduate school. His painting won't sell, so he decided to go into paint business. So he got a free paint, he can paint. This is a fire painting I was talking about. This painting actually is just some color of small dark pieces. There's a lot of work I didn't show here because I don't have them anymore. I also talk about butterfly's life associated with the fire. You know how they fry, they read. What's that? I think it's from the Chinese love stories. You know, the couple die and they turn to butterfly reunited again. So that kind of is like a love story, and it was a fire painting. That's the background, showing their passion. It's not about moths flying to the fire. That's a totally different thing. Okay, this is a small sample of fire painting. I don't think we have any fire painting here. On the wine plate? Oh, the brown one, okay. No wonder. This is just some small version of it. I don't know whether my assistant put in the version. That is it. This actually is the house of my father's, we call paper mache house when during his funeral. And this actually is the house. And there's a little kite here. It's like symbolic, like his life flew away because the house has a window frame. And through the heat, the walk and fly out, the frame. And so it's like burning in the air. And this is a 10 feet tall, 30 feet long painting. So these are large paintings. And we can shoot it on this wall. We just didn't think about it. Next time. Yeah. And this is the water series. I just try to pick a few examples. Yeah, so there's some colors down here because we don't really have water around too much because people tend to know that this is my trademark painting, so they just, always like. And I have all different range of colors, different lights. This is a representative of red wine. Yeah, I know people are going to ask me about why I do quails. I will tell you later why I do quails, the wine quails, because in the opening, I think a lot of people just pass by behind me, they don't know I'm an artist. This woman must like to drink. I don't drink. Okay, so this is my newest work. And I haven't really shown it much, and there's a little sample there, the waterfall. Yeah, but that waterfall is the first batch of the waterfall. I don't know anybody familiar with the Japanese artist called Hiroshi Senju. When you go to Tokyo airport, go into the hall, you see all the waterfall painting. It's like a printout, but it has a light in the background. It's like a light box. Senju is very big in Japanese culture, but he does with mineral pigments and rice paper. But I did it with oil, so we have show together once. And so the gallery asked me if I wanted waterfalls. I do fire. It's this way, but I do water a horizontal way. But I never know how to do waterfall. So I just keep thinking. So everything happened for a reason. Like I wasn't intending to do waterfall, and I did. So it's like, wow, darn, that's simple. Just vertical and horizontal lines. So that's how waterfall happened. Simple, just because somebody asked for a show. Yeah, this is my earth painting. I couldn't figure out how to do earth because water is liquid, fire is liquid, right? It's like no forms. And air, no forms. How can I do earth? No clue. So I started doing the glacier series with a pig, the triangles, and I do winter earth. This is the foliage from the previous fall, covered by the snow. So I call this spring earth. The earth in the spring. The snow melts a little bit. You can see animal track all over, and then you can see the snow melting and the leaf from the previous fall show up. It's a break. So I started playing with this geometric mountain ice shape and put a chunk of sky into it. And this is the small one I did. Actually, no, this one is, this one is, imagine this painting 10 feet tall, 30 feet long. This is the one. I'm crazy, right?
Yeah, you're crazy.
I'm doing a triangle for that whole year. I'm crazy.
Yes. Why don't you tell people, like when how do you create a painting that long? Do you paint on the floor or is your
No, I
studio?
always take them on the wall.
So you have a piece of canvas 30 feet long in your
Right,
studio.
non-stop.
And do you paint all over, or do you start in one area, or?
I do the base painting in different layers, particularly this one probably 3-layer color underneath with the yellow and the ochre brown, and maybe some orange right under in between. And then I pile up the white. And this one particular, I use a lot of pink as waves on a painting mixed with white to create a body of the surface of the earth painting. Sarah, did you get any on this show? No, right?
You get a little sense of how you can play with textural buildup when you apply paint in the I don't know, the shaped painting that's over there. It's like the one big shaped painting. If you look at it closely, and again, that's kind of, I know people, like when I walk through with people, they always want to like play this guessing game about how do you build up? And then
I build up and let's take away.
and then you take away and then you have the lines.
But
Wow.
because of oil paint, everybody knows. A lot of people paint over here. The oil paint have to do with is in a consistency like almost dry and not going to dry to create a line. Otherwise, it's like cooking oil at once. So you don't get this nice sharp line. And this particular also, there's a story behind it. Because I love science. So I was looking at a science magazine. I don't know who I am, honestly, but I read anything I can find. And I don't read into that because I just like, I'm not an engineer, I'm not read this. But I realized this seashell, look, this seashell, I didn't bring it. It's, the line is like this, has a little mountains. And, you know, I learned the seashells through millions, billions of years under the sea, they turn. And through evolution, actually, the lines originate from one white line, one light yellow, one brown, and they turn like under the water all those years, billions years. They turn into this kind of triangle, like almost like a what's that, electric wave? Electromagnetic wave. Yes, it's like an earthquake. You see those the drawings. So I said, oh, that's interesting because I'm painting water, and this is the sea, the earth elements under the water, and then we create this line. And look at also some glacier has the ice piled up, cracked, so I create all these compositions. It's there. It's nothing abstract at all. So it's my first large paintings are 10 feet by 15 feet water, 3 10 feet by 30 feet air, fire, and earth. That's my 4 very beginning painting. This will all happen afterwards. Okay, then the air painting, I didn't know how to do air. I was having one time to say, my daughter 3 years old, do air, just like flower shape, right? So I just tried air painting on we have some air painting on one of the clays. And that's how it happened. So I really want to do the violence. And the star painting is the same thing like an air series. So it's a reduction. We do get every single line that size. It takes a whole summer for small painting. This is like a explosion of the Earth started. Keep going. This is a 10 feet by 30 feet. air painting. This painting is one of my favorite paintings because, as I say, I use the cursive line to create ball of the colors, and I have some opening there. And that is just one of my favorite paintings. So I have a different range of color on all my paintings. And basically, I'm trying to describe this light, energy, and texture. And I like to work alone, so my work particularly has no life. The life is in the greater force. And I also developed some glacier period too. You see the big one there, in the big one? That's about global warming. And it's one of the biggest icebergs. It just broke the spine like 6 months ago, so we don't have an iceberg anymore. It's eventually like late and it collapsed with the global warming problems. So that's why every piece of iceberg is brought up. And it's total opposite to the energy of the water painting, but because the water painting actually is very enlightening, very happy or serene, but the iceberg's work actually kind of depressing. It's a warning. It's sad. Next. Yeah, this is all my old mountain series. I think this one just came back from Poland. MSc program. Yeah. I did a 10 by 30 feet painting again with Himalaya. This is a commission. So I did a different color of mountains. And it's all different variations of the compositions. So some of my work is like all over the place. And basic still stay on the track of 4 elements. This series on the Green Mountain I did. I never did Green Mountain ever because I was always live in New York and I always we have a long winter, so I never really look at green trees until I was staying in Taiwan for a couple of years during the pandemic. So I started doing green herbs. And the ginger flower is the same way because we can see this in Florida, but not here. It's tropical plants and has amazing fragrance. And it's very native Taiwanese flowers. So I use them to represent Taiwanese culture. It's ginger flowers. The flower painting is just an accident too. So there are 2 major accidents that work happening in my life: is the flower painting and the wine grapes and the sailboats. What happened is there was a flower expo convention center that used to show the orchids, agricultural orchids farms show was every year. And so the Gallery Association in Taiwan went to the people, asked them, say, what do you do when the space is not used? They said nothing. They spent $1 million to create this amazing park, right, in Taipei. And so they said, well, so can we do an art show here? And they said, okay, so we have to do a flower show. So they wanted to do a flower show. That was such a smart. I said, no, I do animals. I do, superpowers. I don't do flowers. I don't paint in my kitchen or flower painting, in my backyard painting. Forget it. But actually, I'm a gardener. I'm a gardener myself. I always have a home, at least have to have 1 acre garden. And I would do all kinds of things. So I said, okay, they really want me to do a show. We want you to do a show. Sing a song for this. I'm genius. I can come up with some idea overnight. And I was like, I can't. You want to do a flower show? So I said, in one condition. Whatever I do, you have to show it. It could be something crazy you never see it before. So I got 3 ideas. First of all, painting doesn't need to be square. Who said painting has to be square? We go to forests, you see the architecture, frescoes. Only particular cities, you don't see squares, right? Very few. So I said, first of all, painting doesn't need to be square. Second of all, proper painting doesn't need a stem and leaves. Second of all, they're flowers. Flower only. Then I said, how about I do it in the sky and with flowers? So we did the first one with sunflower. And it was remarkable. We saw the whole show. Everybody's going crazy. And can you imagine the work, labor into these flowers? And they're canvas. Because what more won't give you enough feeling of the oil paint? Because texture is so dull. So I still need a canvas. And you mentioned canvas, just think. Carpenter, make it a shape, right? And put a ball over it. And our studio have to glue the canvas on it, and we have to fold over. Anybody sew here? I'm sure a lot of people sew here. Do you know how hard to fold the fabric over a curve? Or tucking like an armpit area, you have extra fabric, you need to trim away, right? Just imagine how to stretch your canvas. Oh, doesn't work. Nobody wanted to do it, so I do pretty things. And the most remarkable thing to me is they're shadows. Because I don't like them flat. I want them very hard so they're shadows. Now this is a whole series of the flower painting. And I paint. Then I knew I can do everything I want. I want to do every flowers. Okay. The one quick I call sidetrack. I remember. Do you remember that movie called Sidetrack? Yeah, it's a writer going to another. Simona Valley, right? He ended up doing something different. It's a sidetrack. The movie goes because what I meant about sidetrack is I was on this track doing something, then I would kind of branch out and do something else. Sideways, yeah. Then I got a sidetrack. I got a sidetrack on something else. It happened during the hurricane in Taiwan typhoon, and I was hurt in the building. I was seriously injured in the building. And our third floor has about 4 feet of water on the terrace, and were clogged by broken leaves, and the water was slipping through the wall and come to the first floor. At the time, I needed to do a local type of show. I had about 60 to 70 pieces of artwork already finished and on the wall. And on the back of those walls, the water just sliding down. So I called my collector up because I couldn't really go out because I was so hurt. And we were out of power for 9 days in a mountain. So I called my collector and said, you own a wine cellar, why don't you set all your wooden plates over? So he said, what do you want it for? I said, I need to take a painting off the wall and kind of lift them up above the floor. The floor all covered with water to rescue my painting. So people think, I want to read. No, it's not. So when I was trying to get recovery from this hurricane, and I was looking at this crates, and I looked at the lumber involved in making a crate, the logo design, the stamping, then the packaging, of course we work on the tree, right? And then the wine is all from Earth series. The wine had to be harvested by the farmers, right? The grape had to grow from the sun and the water and the earth. And they have to be shipped on the water, in the open air. So this crate actually worked for a series of purposes. It feed the crate industry, designing a wine crate, take thousands of people involved. This has nothing to do with how much the wine costs or how much the wine is going to be enjoyed. It's about the labor into it, the natural elements get into it. So that's why I do the sidetrack series, because the geometric shape is so interesting and every box is different. It has nothing to do with about they are better one than the other or not. About how to recycle this wood, make it into art objects. And also, everybody probably discovered that why there are sailboats in there. Because after I getting a little bit better, I need to do the show in September, end of September. And so the museum has a plaza. Then he said, the director says, Jack, you won't give me this project. I won't do it again. The museum director told me, Leigh, can you do something in the plaza? I said, oh my God. He says, we have a plane here before. We have a helicopter here before. We have a freight container here before. What can you come up with? I said, I have to do a show. Then I have to do something about transportation. So I was like, I can. And they said, no, you can't. No, I cannot. No, yes, you can. Okay, so I just keep cooking. I start, my brain started cooking again. So I said, I do water and what? Oh, I have a simple solution. I went to the Ocean University. I said, can you give me 2 boats? I'm going to bring a boat into the plaza and do the show. It's like 2 boats on each side of my show entrance. We let sail in to the show because water is the main thing of my show. So we have sailboats. Let's continue. This is all of my quick. Oh, I was born in the era the black and white TV turned into color. So I like to put black and white color together. Simple ideas. That's all. Yeah. And they asked me to do an interactive kind of project for young people. So we have a video camera hiding inside. So when people open any drawer they want, they will see themselves doing something from the previous drawer. And we have fake $100 American bills in there. And we saw people taking it home. So they all recorded in this little iPad and was collected in the film. It's really interesting to see people's behavior. Some people are like, what? Money in there? It's just fake money. And some, we put a couple of really real type of sea pots of trees. People would take seeds home. It's an interesting project. And that's a sailboat. I paint sailboats in my painting. It's not painting actually around anymore. This is a real boat. This is the boat I was talking about. They use this boat. There are 2 boats. Yeah. That's a water boat, and it's a fire boat. And the boats are standard, international standard sailboats for Olympics. It's not something like you just play with it, you can buy. And let's go back to the big sailboats. Have you noticed the sail definitely is not flat, right? They have to catch the wind, so they kind of curve in like this. So people think, oh, that's probably printed out. I say, no, it's not. They are hand-done. Even the sail, we need to get this set of sail. We couldn't find anybody who have it coming in time for us. They have to be made in China. So it takes about 3-4 months. And this sail actually turned out one of the sail Olympic coach. He just bent down on his back and just sewed all this sail by his own hand, just for these 2 sets. And this is a 4 meters 7, so it's about 5 meters, so it's about 15 feet tall. So I paint all the 4 sides. Before the show opened, I was working all summer on those 2 sailboats. And for Shirley, we were so early. We anchored them in the plaza, and we had 3 typhoons in 2 weeks. The boat was up in the air. And the museum staff all had to rush out, all sit in the boat, keep the boat in place for half day until somebody come to rescue us, take close to the sail. It really was off the ground. Anyway, it was a very interesting experience. Yeah, and they actually get on one seriously. So we were running a classes seminar. People are very curious. So it was interesting. So this is fire and water. This is me. So I have to paint this side and I have to paint that side because we don't have scenic. Jack's museum, okay? Jack, your museum could be fine. So we have to, actually, I have to paint the waterway vertically and have to paint fire horizontal. It's crazy. But I get into environmental thing, painting some endangered species cats in Taiwan. Yeah, that's two cats. I have a cat like this because I have half white. So I said, okay, I'll paint some animals because they are protected right now, so you cannot kill it or take them home. But there's a bunch of this. It's like a Taiwanese Asian mountain cats. And the pheasant too. Yeah, they're all endangered species right now. Yeah. Oh, the clay work, I collaborated with another master, and he's probably the top potter in Taiwan. So the bowl was this big. That's the 12 bowls we actually find in Taiwan. Yeah, it's all of those. Yeah, we did a water project with the sensors and described Hurricane 9. I was hurt, so I had like a wind and lightning and rainstorms and shadow glasses. Yes, we almost done. Yeah, and we put the water on the surfaces and project on the screen, make it into kaleidoscope kind of compositions. Yeah. Which kind of quick process. Okay, this is a water pillar. I did my work to the fashion, also the metal cards. And they're real metal cards. And I've also, oh, Jack, why are you close to the gift shop? This is the scarf I made. Yeah, on the flowers. Yeah, these little scarves. The fashion you saw in the show.
What inspired you to do the dresses?
Huh?
What inspired you to do the dresses?
Do you know I can sew? I actually make things. I can knit, I can sew.
So was it a condition or something?
No, just something I will. If I'm not a painter, I will be turned into a fashion industry. So, yeah. That was interesting. And we have masks. That's about it. This is the mask. Since because it's so generous a Jack to close to the gift shop, people get a mask.
Thank you.
We're going to have Patricia passing them around, 2, 3 for each guest. How's that? Is Patricia still here? I think she left. Okay. Then we'll move on. There's 7 boxes in the back. Thank you so much, everybody. This is the end of it. I'm so sorry to take it so long to go through my work.
Thank you.
So long.
Should we see if there's any questions from the audience, or do you have any up here?
Let's see if the audience.
Okay, anybody want to take advantage of
Big
this?
one is how to make the lines. How to make the lines. Yes. Oh, do I do the line? Yeah, yes.
I just said a stylus. I mean, it's like a needle. Like for etching, that's one of the ways.
I'm here. I'm not going to. The line, actually, I use all different kinds of styles. You know, there are scratch knives. I use a mat knife, I use a razor blade. So sharp things. Sharp things. But you have to have underlayer of very solid pack and
So
dry.
you put gesso, and then you have layers of
The
gesso.
undercolor, and then I put different undercolor I wanted. And maybe the second layer is like 60% dry, and I put a top layer and stretch it through. Depending on how many layers I want underneath.
And it's also interesting too, and I wrote about it in the essay, if anyone here has studied calligraphy, you know, depending on the weight that you apply when you have a loaded brush to the surface, you can get different widths. And if you look closely, so it's not just a uniform line, it varies in width, and then it also, as Leigh was explaining, varies in directionality. So you can really get a sense of energy, whether it reminds you of electromagnetic curves or you know, heartbeats or just pure energy. It's really fascinating to watch the interaction between these lines and the painted passages.
I think the major answer for this one actually also is the lines. It's also, I think everybody needs to understand, particularly large paintings. I have to do them in sections. So everybody plays with jigsaw puzzle, right? That's how it looks like. You kind of like play with one section, make sure the edge will continue with second layer. And then you do second section and second layer. And you kind of piece them together. So it's not like an ordinary painting with underpainting, you put the layers on, and then you can, I want to darken it, I want to darken it lighter, touch up later. There's no going back. Once you scratch, you lay the paint on, and that's it, you scratch away. So if you scratch and you say, this is no good, you want to come back and fix it second day, forget it. So there's a unified surface, the surface of the painting is so crucial. You have to be extremely confident when you scratch it. First of all, lay the color down, second of all, scratch it on. Have to be extremely confident. There's no fixing up. Don't stop. So you come back second day, this area is not starting yet, the first area is already done. It shows more on the large paintings. And so it's a extremely difficult process. People don't know. You start painting, you cannot go anywhere until you finish it. Because time is so crucial. I have to time myself how much sleep I can get in between. Seriously. And also, the reason I showed the two pictures of the paint cans, because I use strictly mineral paint. So mineral paint, there's a character of it. People probably don't know if you get a commercial grade paint, because they will dye each other. You know, color will bleed into each other. For example, you have yellow underneath, you put a blue over it, the yellow turns green. And so the artist should know what color will really affect the other. So, for example, when everybody has a chance to look around later, get up to see that particular work painting. The purplish blue, the line actually is light purple. And you get to the area which has like a lighter yellow, and the line is like purple. So there's no, maybe medium gray where the purple blue is, and that's white line. And imagine, the underpainting is white in different gradation. But that painting can explain a lot about how color change. Not just through your eye, also through the material itself. It creates a variation that I have to get it under control. So when people say, I want to commission a painting, I say, I never know what it's going to look like when I'm finished. Because I don't know what might happen. And that's the beauty of creating this group of work. You don't know the result. You just let it go. I don't know, I'm sure everybody do a little bit more or less meditations, and that's how it works. When I paint or I draw the line, I don't hear anything. And I lost myself in a zone that it just flow by itself. So I would plan on doing this kind of painting and doing this color range. When I come out studio, it's a totally different thing. It's nothing you can plan out. Does that make sense to you? It's something so free. I almost free myself inside the image. It's just so beautiful. It's such an amazing process. But every time I finish it, it's exhausting.
Any last questions?
Do you ever work small? You started with 16-inch by 16-inch prints, and now you work very big. Do you ever work small?
I'm curious whether you ever work in small scale in your home. So you started with 16 by 16 inch pencil.
Paintings anymore. It's so hard. It's like you're writing a line for the commercial, the first line. So I put it. You have to make it remarkable. So hard. Get it?
Yeah, one more question.
How did you get the shapes from the flowers that you cut out wood and then paint on top of wood? How did you do that?
Every flower I get is a flower from my garden. First of all, is I take a picture of them. We blow it up. And then we trace, my assistant and I trace the shape of the flowers. After we blow it up in a power projector, we send it to the working workshop or have my company do it.
And then do you stretch canvas over them?
Yeah, that's what she did before.
It's board over the stretcher. Inside is like not much difference on the square stretchers, but it's just the bar will be variation length. But then we have the board over because I'm afraid it's going to walk in some area on the sharp corners. So I have a flower shape for over the stretchers, and then we screw the canvas up. And then we fold over the canvas. So imagine everybody not go crazy. It's very hard. It's not. I like the thick canvas. It's very hard. You want to get even more detail?
Okay. So one more last question. Did you have a point?
Long time. Do you know this group of work here? This is what from, I think from 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, some of the.
Yeah, this is like 20 years of work here. I don't produce a lot. I mean, each year.
She doesn't produce a lot, but she's working all the time. I don't understand. I don't know when she sleeps, but
I only time, the break.
yeah.
Well, I just want to thank Leigh and Mufan and Sarah for this wonderful collaboration to bring Leigh Wen's work here. And thank you very much. Thank you for coming.